I-34F was supposed to be working late Thursday night finalizing seating charts for our wedding in 10 days. My fiancé Troy, 31M, told me he was having a quiet bachelor dinner with his college buddies. Just dinner and maybe one beer at his friend's place. Nothing crazy. Around 11:30 p.m., I'm deep in spreadsheet hell trying to figure out which divorced relatives can sit together without starting World War III. When my phone buzzes. Instagram notification. Troy posted to his story. Last night of freedom before the ball and chain Maiolo. The photo made my blood freeze. Troy at what was clearly a strip club, not his friend's apartment. Some blonde in a barely there outfit, grinding on his lap while his hands were firmly planted on her waist. He was grinning like he'd won the lottery. I sat there staring at my phone for a solid minute. Then more photos rolled in, body shots off the stripper, her phone number being programmed into his contacts, his groomsmen cheering him on like this was normal behavior. The last photo, them making out while she grabbed his, well, you get the picture. The caption on that one? New friend. What happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas. We live in Chicago. There was no Vegas trip planned. I screenshot everything with shaking hands. My 4 years with this man, 14 months of wedding planning, thousands of hours of my life, all reduced to evidence files on my phone. First, I called my sister Melody. She picked up on the first ring because she's a mom and never really sleeps. Lex, what's wrong? It's almost midnight. Troy's at a strip club. Posted it on Instagram. Wedding's off. What? Are you? I'm sending you screenshots. I need you to see this. The silence on her end said everything. Then I went back to Instagram and commented on his last post. First night of freedom, actually. Wedding's off. Check your bank account. Changed my relationship status to single. Here's the kicker. I tagged his father, Kenneth Hartman. Why his dad? Because Kenneth paid for our entire wedding. The venue, catering, bar service, $65,000 of his retirement fund, while Troy and I had saved $15,000 together for the smaller details. Total $80,000 because Troy convinced his dad I was the one and deserved a fairy tale wedding. Kenneth specifically told us both no wild bachelor or bachelorette parties because his business associates would be attending, and he had a reputation to maintain as a family man. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Troy calling, his friends calling, numbers I didn't recognize. I turned it off and poured myself a very large glass of wine. Next morning, I woke up to someone laying on my doorbell. Troy's mom, Melissa, and she had Troy with her. He looked rough, still in his clothes from last night, reeking of cheap perfume and regret. "How dare you humiliate my son like that?" Melissa screamed the moment I opened the door. "Do you know what you've done to our family?" "Your son humiliated himself. I just pointed it out." Troy tried the puppy dog eyes. "Babe, it meant nothing. It was just guy fun. All grooms do this kind of thing. All grooms make out with strippers and post it online. You're overreacting. It was just looking, not touching." I pulled up the screenshots on my phone. "This is just looking?" Melissa actually gasped when she saw the phone number exchange photo. Even she couldn't defend that. "Delete those right now," she demanded. "The wedding is in 10 days. What will people think?" "What wedding? I canceled it last night." That's when Troy dropped the nice guy act. "Do you know how much money we've already spent? How this makes me look? You can't just cancel everything because you're being dramatic." There it was. Not, "I'm sorry," not, "I made a mistake," just worried about money and his image. "That's your dad's problem, not mine. He wrote the checks, remember?" Melissa's face went white. "The deposits are non-refundable, all of them." They left after Melissa threatened to sue me for emotional damages and breach of contract. Good luck with that. But here's where it gets completely insane. 3 hours later, there's a news van outside my condo building. Local news, Channel 7. Turns out Troy went straight to the media with a sob story about how I publicly shamed him and ruined his life over innocent bachelor party fun. They interviewed him on the noon news. He wore this conservative button-down, all cleaned up, talking about how I weaponized social media against him. She betrayed my trust by posting private relationship business online, I was just having one last night of fun with my college friends. It's what guys do. She's being controlling and honestly, kind of emotionally abusive. The reporter, some young girl who clearly never planned a wedding, ate it up. The segment was titled, "Bride's Social Media Revenge Goes Too Far." Yeah, I was the villain for calling off my wedding after catching my fiancé with a stripper's tongue down his throat. The news segment backfired spectacularly. See, Troy forgot one crucial detail. The internet exists and women talk. Within hours, someone found his deleted Instagram posts and reposted them in the comments of the news station's Facebook page. Screenshots are forever, people. The comments were brutal. Innocent fun? She was basically giving him a lap dance on camera. He posted it publicly and she's wrong for responding? Plays stupid games, wins stupid prizes. Channel 7 really ran this story without fact-checking. Journalism is dead. But the absolute best part? The stripper's boyfriend saw the news segment. His name is Zane, and he was not happy to see his girlfriend Crystal all over some random dude on TV. Zane went nuclear on Facebook. Posted everything. Turns out Troy had been texting Crystal for 3 days before the bachelor party. She'd sent him photos, explicit ones. Troy told her he was in an open relationship, and the wedding was just for show, because I had money. Money? I'm a marketing director at a tech startup. I do well for myself, but I'm not exactly rolling in cash. That's hilarious. Kenneth called me that afternoon. First time we'd spoken one-on-one without Troy there. Alexandra, I need to know, did he really do what those photos show? I sent him everything. Every screenshot, every text thread I'd found on Troy's laptop that he'd left open like an idiot. Long silence. Then, I'm pulling the wedding funding. Every penny I can get back. The rest is his problem. Kenneth, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I raised him better than this. His mother enabled this behavior too long. And I'm done. Later that evening, Troy tried a new approach. He showed up with his college buddies, Chad, Brett, and Bryce, like some kind of intervention squad. We need to talk about your toxic femininity, Chad starts. My what now? You're punishing Troy for expressing his masculinity, Brett adds. It's 2024. Men are allowed to have bachelor parties. He can have all the bachelor parties he wants, just not as my fiancé. Bryce tries the guilt trip. Do you know how many people bought plane tickets? My mom flew in from Phoenix. Sounds like a personal problem. Then Troy went full psycho. If you don't take me back, I'll tell everyone you're financially controlling and emotionally abusive. I'll ruin your career. Dead silence. Even his frat boyfriends looked shocked. Dude, Chad whispered, you can't say stuff like that. Why not? She's ruining my life. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Say that again, on camera. He stormed off. His friends followed, but Bryce stopped at my door. For what it's worth, we all told him not to go to that club. Some of us are actually married and know better. Channel 7 did a follow-up segment that evening. This time, they had Zane on, and he brought receipts. The texts, the photos, everything. He even had security footage from the club showing Troy and Crystal leaving together. The narrative changed real quick from controlling bride to cheating groom caught red-handed. Troy's Instagram went private, then deleted. His Facebook, gone. LinkedIn, deactivated. But he wasn't done making things worse for himself. This man completely lost his mind. First, he tried to salvage the wedding. Since Daddy cut him off financially, Troy created a GoFundMe. Help save my dream wedding after public humiliation. He raised $73. Someone donated $5 with the note, for therapy sessions. When that didn't work, he started telling people we had a verbal contract that I owed him compensation for 4 years of emotional support and relationship labor. He valued his contribution at $40,000. Then, he went after my job. Emailed my boss claiming I was creating a hostile work environment through cyberbullying, and that he was afraid for his safety. My boss, Diana, a divorced woman who'd survived her own cheating ex, forwarded me the email with the note, "You dodged a cruise missile, not a bullet." But the peak insanity came Tuesday night. I'm at Target picking up wedding thank you cards to return when I get a call from building security. Ma'am, someone tried to break into your unit. We caught them. Says she knows you? Her? I rush home to find Troy in the lobby with some woman I'd never seen before. Tall, blonde, fake everything. Crystal, the stripper. She's my girlfriend, Troy told security. I left my medication inside. She lost her key. First of all, we're not married, so no shared keys. Second, he's never taken medication in his life. Third, girlfriend? Crystal looked mortified. You said you were single. You said the wedding thing was fake. Security had already called the cops. I pressed charges for attempted breaking and entering. At the police station, Troy kept changing his story. I left important documents inside. My grandmother's ring is in there. Both his grandmothers are alive. She stole my emotional support animal. We don't have pets. I'm allergic. The cop taking his statement looked exhausted. Sir, you've given me 4 different reasons. Because I'm traumatized by her vindictive behavior. Crystal, meanwhile, was singing like a canary. Turns out Troy had been seeing her for 2 weeks before the bachelor party. He'd promised to leave me after the honeymoon because the deposits were already paid. He told her I was frigid and controlling, and their love was destiny. The security footage was damning. Troy clearly tried to pick my condo lock first, then called Crystal when that failed. She brought lock-picking tools from her other job. Premeditated attempted burglary. Remember when I said this couldn't get worse? I was wrong. Friday, the day before what would have been our wedding, Troy made his final desperate play. I'm at work when security calls. Ma'am, there's a situation in the lobby. I go downstairs to find Troy in a full tuxedo. The tuxedo, the one his dad paid $800 for. Standing in our corporate lobby with a bouquet of wilted gas station roses, crying and begging me to remember our love. My entire office gathered to watch. Someone was definitely recording. Alexandra, please, I know I messed up, but we're meant to be. Don't throw away 4 years over one mistake. One mistake? Troy, you've been cheating for weeks. It didn't mean anything. You're the only one I love. Security escorted him out, but not before everyone got photos and videos. Someone set it to sad violin music and posted it on TikTok. 3.7 million views and counting. The comments were savage. The secondhand embarrassment is real. Sir, this is a Wendy's corporate office. Imagine being Crystal watching this unfold. My personal favorite, when he said "till death do us part," he meant the death of his dignity. The wedding day came and went. I spent it at a spa with Melody and our mom, getting massages and drinking champagne. Best Saturday I'd had in months. But Troy? Oh, he had different plans. He showed up at the venue in his tuxedo with a photographer. See, we couldn't get refunds on anything, but the venue was still technically booked. So Troy decided to have his wedding anyway, solo. He did a full photo shoot, walking down the aisle alone, fake cutting the cake, first dance with an invisible bride, the works. The venue staff were so uncomfortable they called Kenneth. He showed up and absolutely lost it. You're embarrassing yourself and our entire family. I deserve my special day. She stole it from me. You stole it from yourself when you couldn't keep it in your pants for 10 more days. Troy apparently screamed that Kenneth never supported his happiness, and this was his truth. Kenneth left, but not before telling the venue staff to donate all the food to a homeless shelter. At least someone benefited. The photographer, who hadn't been paid up front because Daddy was supposed to handle it, left halfway through when he realized no payment was coming. But not before posting some shots on his Instagram. Weirdest gig ever. Groom, no bride. Still wanted couples photos. I can't make this up. Those went viral too. Troy holding his own hand. Troy slow dancing alone. Troy toasting to nobody. It was tragic and hilarious simultaneously. 2 weeks later, I got a text from an unknown number. I'm sorry for everything. I know you'll never forgive me, but I wanted you to know I'm in therapy now. I realize I have a lot of issues to work through. I hope you find happiness. I didn't respond, but I did forward it to my lawyer just in case. Plot twist, though. One of Troy's groomsmen, Brett, reached out the following week, not for Troy, but to apologize for that hallway ambush. We grabbed coffee, and he explained how uncomfortable the whole situation had made him. Turns out, Brett had been questioning their friendship for months. Troy had apparently hooked up with Brett's girlfriend while they were still together 2 years ago, and gaslit Brett about it when confronted. "For what it's worth," Brett said, "I told him not to post those photos. The rest of us knew it would blow up in his face." He showed me texts from their group chat the night of the bachelor party. He was the only one saying, "Maybe don't post these pics," while Chad and Bryce encouraged it. Meanwhile, I got an update on the Crystal situation. She'd reached out through Instagram to thank me for opening her eyes about Troy. Apparently, he'd been stalking her after she cut contact, driving by her apartment, showing up at the club where she worked, sending her dozens of texts daily. "He kept saying we were soulmates and that you stole his happiness," she told me. I finally had to get my manager involved when he started harassing customers asking about me. Crystal ended up pressing charges for harassment. She also quit stripping and enrolled in nursing school, using the whole experience as motivation to get her life together. "You inspired me," she said. "Watching you stand up for yourself like that, I realized I deserved better too." It was weird, but we actually became Instagram friends, women supporting women, even under the strangest circumstances. Court date for Troy's breaking and entering charge was 6 weeks later. He pled down to attempted trespassing, got 200 hours community service, and a $3,000 fine, plus a restraining order keeping him 1 feet from me and my condo building. His lawyer tried arguing he was having a mental health crisis brought on by public humiliation and wedding stress. The judge wasn't buying it. "Your client attempted to break into someone's home with burglary tools. Mental health struggles don't excuse criminal behavior." Crystal also got a restraining order against Troy. The harassment escalated after she cut contact. He'd started leaving flowers at her apartment door, sending letters to her family, even contacted her nursing school trying to get her kicked out for moral character issues. Troy lost his sales job after the tuxedo lobby incident made it to HR. Apparently, several clients had seen the viral videos and complained about being represented by that crazy guy from TikTok. His employer couldn't risk the reputation damage. Last I heard, he was working at a car rental place and living with Chad in some sketchy apartment complex. Kenneth and Melissa entered marriage counseling. Apparently, 30 years of enabling Troy's behavior had created some serious marital issues. Melissa blamed Kenneth for abandoning their son. Kenneth blamed her for creating a monster. "She kept making excuses for him," Kenneth told me when we bumped into each other at Starbucks months later. "Every time he screwed up, it was someone else's fault. I finally realized we weren't helping him by cleaning up his messes." They were working it out, but Kenneth admitted it was rocky. "I should have stopped writing checks years ago. Maybe he would have learned to be accountable." As for me, life got progressively better. Got promoted to senior director 3 months after the wedding, that wasn't. Turns out being the woman who dodged the crazy groom made me something of a legend at work. "You handled that with such class," Diana told me during my promotion review. "The way you protected your boundaries and didn't let him manipulate you back, that's leadership material." I bought a bigger condo downtown with my promotion money. No shared mortgages, no compromise on location or style. Just me, making decisions for me. Started rock climbing again, too. Troy always hated it, said it was too masculine for women, and worried I'd get injured and ruin the wedding photos. Turns out, I'm actually pretty good at it. Joined a climbing group that meets every Saturday, the same day our wedding would have been. Perfect timing. Even got a rescue dog. A golden retriever named Biscuit from the local shelter. Troy claimed he was allergic to pet hair. He wasn't, just didn't want dog fur on his precious, designer clothes. Biscuit and I have become the perfect team. He's great company for my morning runs, and apparently, golden retrievers are excellent judges of character. He growls whenever we pass Troy's old apartment building, like he knows. Best part? Running into Kenneth at that Starbucks last month. He insisted on buying my coffee and said something that made my entire year. You know, I was planning to give you kids a down payment for a house as a wedding gift. $50,000. Dodged that bullet too, didn't you? We actually laughed about it. He looked healthier, happier. Marriage counseling was working. Melissa's starting to see things differently, he admitted. Our therapist helped her understand that protecting Troy from consequences wasn't protecting him at all. It was enabling him to hurt other people. 6 months after the wedding, that wasn't. I took that solo trip to Europe I'd always dreamed about. Used the money from selling my engagement ring, a beautiful 2-carat solitaire that Troy had picked out to show everyone how successful he was. Spent 2 weeks in Italy, eating incredible food, touring vineyards, and taking cooking classes. No schedule, no compromise, no one complaining about too much culture or wanting to find sports bars. In Rome, I met this amazing group of women on a food tour. All different ages, all traveling solo for different reasons. We spent 3 days exploring together, sharing stories, laughing until our sides hurt. One of them, Janet, was celebrating her divorce from a cheating husband. Another, Maria, was taking a sabbatical after burning out at her corporate job. "You're glowing," Maria told me over wine at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Colosseum. "Whatever happened before this trip, you're clearly exactly where you need to be." When I got back, I felt like a completely different person. Confident, independent, clear about what I wanted and what I absolutely wouldn't tolerate. That's when I met David. Not actively looking, just living my life. We literally bumped into each other at the climbing gym. He was belaying his partner when I walked into his rope line. "I'm so sorry," he said immediately. "Are you hurt? I should have been paying better attention." The difference was immediate. Troy would have blamed me for not looking where I was walking. David and I started as climbing partners, then became friends, and eventually something more. He's a veterinarian, loves dogs, thinks my independence is attractive rather than threatening. When I told him about Troy, his response was simple. His loss, my gain. We're not rushing anything. After Troy, I'm very clear about taking time to really know someone. But David's actions match his words. He communicates instead of manipulating, and Biscuit absolutely adores him. To everyone asking if Troy learned anything from this whole experience, absolutely not. People like that don't learn. They just find new people to blame and new victims to manipulate. Last I heard through mutual friends, he's dating some 22-year-old who thinks his ex, me, was intimidated by his free spirit and couldn't handle a real man. Poor girl. I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Troy apparently told her I was controlling and ruined his life over nothing. He's working at that car rental place, living in Chad's spare room, and according to Brett, constantly complaining about how women these days have no loyalty. Crystal, meanwhile, is killing it in nursing school. She sends me updates occasionally, honor roll, clinical rotations going well, even met a nice guy in her anatomy class. "You saved my life," she messaged me last month. "Not just from Troy, but from the whole situation. I never would have had the courage to change if I hadn't seen you stand up for yourself." It's funny how life works out. What felt like the worst thing that could happen turned out to be exactly what I needed. My sister Melody summed it up perfectly. "You didn't lose a fiancé, you lost dead weight. Now look at you, promoted, traveling, living your best life. Troy did you the biggest favor of your life." She's right. If he hadn't been stupid enough to post those photos, I might have married him. Might have spent years in couples therapy trying to fix something that was fundamentally broken. Might have wasted decades of my life with someone who saw me as a convenience rather than a partner. To my fellow women reading this, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that your standards are too high or you're being dramatic. You know what you deserve. Your self-respect is not negotiable. Your boundaries are not suggestions. And screenshots really are forever, but so is your dignity. Going to sign off now and take Biscuit for his evening walk. David's making dinner tonight. He actually cooks, imagine that. And we're trying a new wine I brought back from Tuscany. Life is good, really, really good. Peace out, everyone. Stay strong, trust yourselves, and never settle for less than you deserve. Since people keep asking, yes, I kept the engagement ring money. Used it for the best solo trip of my life. Troy can die mad about it. For those saying this story seems too crazy to be real, I wish my life had been this boring. But hey, believe what you want. I'm just grateful it's over, and I came out stronger. Just found out Troy tried to sue me for defamation of character because this story ruined his dating prospects. His lawyer dropped him when they realized he had no case. Some stories really do have the happiest endings,